guys, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we are pitting the original Scream from 1996 against Scream 4 from 2011, which you guys picked out on a poll on my channel. Whenever I do these sequel versus originals, you guys get to pick the sequel, so make sure to vote on those things if you didn't in the last one. Now, unfortunately, I specially ordered a shirt for this video and it did not come in on time. I'm filming this last minute because I was really waiting for this thing. I next day aired it. I don't know where it is. Lost in the mail, apparently. So unfortunately, you're getting my slasher shirt that unfortunately does not have Ghostface on it. But it's coming, I promise. The next Scream update, you will see my dope t-shirt. But before I get into this epic battle of movies, I'm gonna need you guys to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Alright, now let's get into it. Get over here! Now before I start listing out the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's talk a little bit about these movies. Scream is a 1996 American slasher film directed by Wes Craven and written by Kevin Williamson. The film stars David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, Skeet Ulrich, and Drew Barrymore. Originally titled Scary Movie, I know, right? Isn't that weird? The film is named after the Edvard Munch painting The Scream, and Ghostface's mask is modeled off of the face in that painting. A lot of people say that the name might have came from the producers listening to a song called Scream, but this just makes way more sense. And I've also heard this more in passing, which probably makes it the truth. Everything you read on the internet is for sure 100% true. Don't worry about it. Scream 4, or stylized as Scree 4 AM, is a 2011 American slasher film, also directed by Wes Craven and once again written by Kevin Williamson. It stars all the same people, including some other cast members, but you already know about this. Let's get into the good. Starting off with the original Scream, this film is very original. It was one of the first horror films to mix meta humor with like the slasher subgenre, which I don't think had ever been done before then. And it strongly critiqued the slasher subgenre that had basically been worn out by that point, and that everybody thought of as being very formulaic. Oh yeah, and it's also a horror comedy too, something that a lot of people forget to mention about these films. This film created Ghostface, an absolutely iconic slasher. I mean, who doesn't know Ghostface? Everyone knows that look. You know, like this look? This film had really clever marketing. Scream advertised its star being Drew Barrymore, rather than Neve Campbell, to trick audiences with that opening scene, which made it all the more powerful when you see Drew Barrymore get stabbed in the first 5 minutes. Going back to that scene, it's still pretty dang shocking, because you've seen Drew Barrymore be your leading lady so many times and then just, oh, she got stabbed. Wow, okay, well where do we go from here? This film answers that question. Arguably one of the most important horror films ever made. Scream single-handedly saved the horror genre at the time and actually did make horror movies great again. That joke is not gonna age well. But like I said before, slasher films had become so formulaic, people were sick of them. So this film decided, hey, let's do a slasher film, but let's make fun of ourselves. Then you had a whole bunch of films after that also starred teenagers that were making fun of themselves, meta humor. For example, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Final Destination. My point is, the late 90s into the early thousands, there was this little like section of time for the horror genre where it was basically just the Scream period, as I like to call it, and then torture porn blew all of that out of the water. But that is for a different video. Moving on to Scree 4 AM, I have to give Scream 4 the cast positive. Now, although I also love the cast of Scream 1, it's basically just the cast of Scream 4, but then there's also more people that are really good in Scream 4. So I'm gonna give that film the edge on the first film, which is probably a sin in some people's eyes. But on top of your already great cast, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, you also have Hayden Panettiere playing Kirby, Allison Brie and Emma Roberts are also in the cast, making it my personal favorite sequel in the Scream franchise. I would say that this is the only Scream movie where it was actually difficult to figure out who the killer is. Yeah, fight me, internet. Okay, besides 2, but that's because there was like a whole bunch of rewrites because they had to change the killer because somebody figured it out and leaked it. And honestly, I didn't see it coming that it was gonna be Jill. Maybe that's just me. Very spooky and as fun as the original, unlike the other sequels. Now, as you can tell, I'm a pretty big fan of the Scream movies, but there are some bad things about him. For the original Scream, the only thing bad I can see about this film is the fact that it is so unbelievably obvious who the killer is the entire movie. If you couldn't figure out it was Billy Loomis the first time you watched this, well, you gotta pay attention a little better, my dude. The guy literally drops his cell phone, which not a whole lot of people had in 1996, towards the beginning of the film, and then in the middle of the film, Neve Campbell gets a call from Ghostface, and that's supposed to be a red herring, making you think, oh, it's somebody else rather than Billy. But you know, as Nev Campbell says later in the movie, you get one phone call from prison. So he very obviously used that to call her and clear his name. I have to give Scream 4 the edge here because honestly, I think it has a little bit better of a mystery. Moving on to Scream 4, it goes way too far with the meta humor. Now, although I don't think the mystery in the original Scream is all that great, the meta humor in Scream 4 is really not that great either. So they both have their ups and downs. And it's not that it's actually bad humor or anything like that, like it's not that it misses, it's just the fact that they overdo it. If there's something we can learn from Scream 4 and Rick and Morty season 4, it's that you can have too much meta humor. The big thing I'm talking about here is mostly that opening scene where it's like, oh, it's a movie within a movie within a movie. I didn't know Inception and Scream had a crossover. And also, the film just does not end. Like, right when you think it's over, it's still going again. It's still going again. Oh, it's still going again. All these shocks and crazy things are happening and we're making jokes about it, although people are dying. The ending and the beginning of this film are both very repetitive and get old fast. Also, is Kirby dead or what? This film decided just to not tell us if Kirby was alive or not. Now, apparently Wes Craven says in like the behind the scenes that her death is ambiguous, meaning that it might not have happened. It can go one way or the other. And I think he was actually planning on doing a Scream 5 before his untimely death in 2015. Rest in peace, my dude. But will we have that question answered in Scream 5, and hopefully not just in a throwaway line of dialogue? I am going to be so mad if someone's like, oh yeah, remember that girl Kirby who died like 10 years ago? I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad if that happens. Y'all are gonna be thinking of me in the theater when you see that scene. So am I handing out the Ugly Award today? Hell no. Personally, I think the only film in the Scream franchise that deserves the Ugly Award is 3. Because what the hell is going on in that movie? Seriously. Besides the Randy cameo, oh, and you know, the Jay and Silent Bob cameo, that movie's garbage. But 1 and 4, and yeah, I guess 2 too, are solid. But who is the better movie here? Well, I'm gonna have to give it to the original, of course. I would be a madman to give it to Scream 4. I mean, look, it's not a bad movie by any means, but the original Scream, come on. First of all, there wouldn't be a Scream 4 without that original movie and how successful it was and how revolutionary it was to the horror genre. But that right there is what I'm talking about. That's why it wins. It single-handedly saved the horror genre in the late 90s. And that's why I will always say that the two most important horror films of all time are Scream and Halloween. One created the slasher subgenre and the other one revitalized it. Now we can argue about that very controversial statement all day long, but let me know how you feel about these rankings. Do you think Scream 4 is better than the original? Or do you agree? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching my sequel versus the original of Scream. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, or else I'll be calling you up on my cell phone, just like that Drake song, but I'll be threatening to murder you. Like this video and subscribe right now. That's the point of this. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at KillJoyJake1 and on Instagram at KillJoy_Jake. And now on Twitch at KJJLive. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.